Good morning and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known, the Friday edition, which I like to call the no flopping, no flopping edition. How about that? And it's Happy Swag Hoodie Day, Alabama A&M in the house. According to Orange G, he says, it's going bad when Millie Vanilli cancels on you. Trump entertainment list consists of Flow Rider and Vanilla Ice. Yeah, folks are dropping out of that too. What's her name? McBride said that she didn't realize it was a political event or something of that nature. The Commodores, of course, without Lionel Richie, they they say they're out. They're not doing this stuff. Um, it takes the Kid Rocks of the world to do this. It takes the Flow Riders and the Nellies and the Chilies of the world to do this. Um, you know, people who have no soul, none whatsoever. But that's what they do, and they want they still want to somehow for some reason retain their black card, retain their human card. Forget the black card, retain their human card because there's some very very not human or inhuman or inhumane um, about all of this, and they know it. It's all about the dollar bill, y'all. That's all, and we could care less um, about anybody else or anything else. Selling souls, and that's what they do, selling souls. Um, but the opposite of that continues to be the one and only attorney Ben Crump. I mean, what Ben Crump is doing is absolutely, he continues to, shake it up. Black Americans have spent generations being told to trust the system, only to repeatedly discover that the system often viewed Black lives as expendable. Now comes another horrifying accusation. Black infants in Washington, D.C. were allegedly used in government-backed vaccine experiments during the 1960s without their parents' informed consent. Yeah, Henrietta Lacks. What is the um, Tuste- Tuskegee experience? I mean, go on and on and on. According to the lawsuit filed on behalf of the families by Ben Crump, the families say their children were part of RSV vaccine testing connected to federally supported research and were never fully told what was being done to them. And here's the part that should infuriate every decent person. This does not sound unbelievable to African Americans. That part right there. That is the real indictment of this country's history. As I said, Tuskegee, Henrietta Lacks, the forced sterilizations happened, medical abuse that's wrapped in government authority has happened over and over again to Black people in the United States. So when families come forward alleging that their babies were experimented on while parents were allegedly kept in the dark, outrage is not an overreaction. Not at all. And Ben Crump is like, I am going to fight. And the thing about it, he's fighting against a DOJ. He's fighting against um, an environment where uh, this person that runs the DOJ, that runs the country, because he runs the DOJ too, make no mistake about it, they are turning their screws on to E. Jean Carroll, the woman who successfully sued Donald Trump for sexual assault, got a 90+ million judgment against him. And they are and so they are now opening an investigation, a criminal probe, allegedly, into Eugene Eugene Carroll, the writer who, um, I guess, they just feel like they won't stop victimizing. um, as he continues to appeal his civil losses to E. Jean Carroll. Now the DOJ is has been sicked upon her by someone. They've been sicked upon her by someone, and that's what's amazing about this. And yet they want to. They're figuring out ways to make the president even more prominent. They're talking about a $250 bill, creating a $250 bill and putting his face on it. Um, really? They're gonna put his face on a $250 bill. First of all, can you imagine going into a store or establishment and saying, "You have change for 250? You have change for 250?" Attention? They should be. Nobody's carrying paper money, and then who's gonna carry that? Who's carrying that? $250, a $250 bill. And for what reason? I don't get it. For what reason are we carrying that? Just insane. Orangey said she should just delay giving a statement to the DOJ, make 'em wait for years. Yeah, in the meantime, and I don't know that E. Jean Carroll ever expected to really receive any of that $90 million anyway, so you make a good point. Maybe she should just make them, wait. Um, well, you know, there are people who will always make you remember other people. And there is Clarence Thomas who will always make you remember Malcolm X and what Malcolm X said. That's this guy continues to show who he is. He has spent much of his career, Clarence Thomas, insisting that he is misunderstood by Black America, but the truth is far less complicated. When the U.S. Supreme Court ruled yesterday that Mississippi death row prisoner Terry Pitchford deserved another look at whether Black jurors were improperly excluded from his trial, Uncle Clarence was once again on the wrong side of history. Pitchford, who's a Black man, of course, was convicted by a jury that included only one Black juror after a prosecutor with a documented history of striking Black jurors removed four of the five Black prospective jurors from the panel. Even conservative Justice Brett Kavanaugh joined the majority in concluding that courts failed to properly examine whether racial discrimination tainted the selection process. Even that dude, even Kavanaugh was like, hold up, wait a minute, let me put some black in it. I mean, but Clarence Thomas, of course, did the Clarence Thomas thing. Yes, he dissented from him long, long ago, ceased being merely a conservative justice with a different point of view. Else entirely as we know. He became the embodiment of a Black public figure who appears willing to excuse, minimize, or ignore racial discrimination, even when it's staring right in his face. Even when he goes home, looks in the mirror, looks at his white wife. And that perception of him did not begin with affirmative action cases. It did not begin with voting rights. It did not begin with the case of opinions that many Black Americans have realized that is hostile. The Pitchfork case, oldest forms of discrimination in American courts. I've seen it firsthand, folks, covering courts in the second Cosby trial, the retrial, where this black prosecutor, ADA, I guess, is whatever her title was, who she always looked like, and I'm not saying she was on drugs, but she always looked like she was fiending for something. Skinny, very unattractive, and just like one of them characters from, Spike Lee movies and old Spike Lee movies where they get high and stuff. And I'll never forget when her boss, the white prosecutor, continued to strike for no reason black jurors. And I remember uh, when they fought and they finally got one, and homegirl, probably somehow related to Uncle Clarence, um, said, "Well, they got their one black." And it's like, girl, I see why you on the you're A on the prosecution's team, but B, um, the relationship to, not literally, but the figurative relationship to Clarence Thomas was stunning with this chick. And then, of course, a white conservative husband walks up and sits up there near her. Told you all you needed to know. It told you all you needed to know. But this, when they say, "Oh, black folks need to serve on juries. They need to answer." The last 6 months, we've got like what 3 or 4 jury subpoenas or notifications. Especially as if we can't fairly come to a conclusion. We, see, we're not like you. W- They're not like us. Uh, uh, case, Clarence Thomas is definitely not like us. Stems from ideological argument ignores what black people actually say. They do not dislike Thomas because he's conservative. Not at all. Many black people are conservative. They're not will have all they reject Clarence Thomas because they believe he has repeatedly they know he has repeatedly chosen this ideology over racial justice, even in situations where the evidence of discrimination is overwhelming. And so his Uncle Thomas, or some say Uncle Ruckus nickname, did not come widespread understanding his career validating systems that historically have harmed black communities from which he came. It's impossible to ignore what this man continues to do. He had the audacity to one, but this case, like the case of Pitchford, it demonstrates why his little explanation is so stupid. A black defendant was facing execution and proves that black jurors were systemically or system the court's chief justice and a conservative Republican appointee concluded that the claim deserves serious consideration. Wow. Clarence, Clarence Thomas in a nutshell. So, have a nice day. Goodness grief, Clarence Thomas. It just it pains to even say that name, you know? It's like, "Oh, Clarence Thomas." Oh gosh, unreal. It's it's like y'all can have that guy. Like, where did he come from? We remember when he started, uh, how he started. We all know what's the, Anita, what is her name? One of the important names in history. I can't think of her last name, but, come on. And folks didn't wanna, believe her. He says Thomas makes Stephen from, Django look like, Malcolm X. Yes, Anita Hill. Thanks, Dr. Nicole and Orangey. And nobody wanted to believe her. Too bad she didn't come along in the Me Too era, where it was everybody's duty to believe the woman. This guy, oh boy. Folks, I'm gonna move off of that divisive, disgusting, step and fetch a guy into something even more, that makes you even more dirty, and that is these Kardashians. At some point, black men, particularly wealthy black athletes, have to stop acting like helpless victims and start taking responsibility for the choices they make. The latest revelation involving Khloe Kardashian and Tristan Thompson is not shocking because Tristan cheated or anything like that. The public lost count of that years ago. It's not shocking because the relationship was dysfunctional. That's been obvious for years. What is shocking is that a man who repeatedly humiliated himself during that relationship and became a national punchline, um, still somehow managed to remain in the Kardashian orbit. Now the conversation has turned to vasectomies, frozen sperm, and reproductive planning, creating yet another chapter in this saga that stopped resembling any sort of healthy dialogue. This chick said, and he got on. Now they're exes now, right? They have 2 kids together, him and this Chloe chick. And he goes on their show or podcast or whatever they have and says he got a vasectomy. She made him get a vasectomy, basically. She sat right there and said, "Yeah, it's reversible, but I don't know." And then he goes, he's now they're not together, and he says that they they have saved his sperm for if she wants future children or something like that. Like, what kind of meme is he? It's just, yes, leave the Kardashians nastier than raisins and potato salad. Oh my gosh. But this is not about just blaming the Kardashian Jenner family. They got every right to date whomever they choose, right? But the issue is their pattern. Over the last several decades, an extraordinary number of high-profile black athletes have attached themselves to this family whose business model depends on publicity, attention, controversy, and the constant monetizing of personal relationships with black men. Time after time, black athletes leave that plan diminished, their careers suffering. Look at James Harden, for instance, who didn't show up for his team in the Eastern Conference Finals as they got swept by the Knicks. Their reputations are forever tarnished. Their finances are scrutinized, and their private lives have become content for public consumption. Meanwhile, the Kardashian brand grows larger and larger. We showed Lamar Odom. He nearly died after years of personal turmoil. Tristan Thompson won an NBA championship with Cleveland, and now he's just an internet meme. Ben Simmons became the target of relentless ridicule, and now he can't even shoot a layup. Devin Booker eventually moved on. The names changed, but the outcomes are remarkably similar. And that's the only chick right there. That Kardashian is the only one that goes for white men. The one that I think she has like 20 kids or something like that. And people talk about the Kardashian curse. Yeah, it's a whole lot less mystical than that. Even the mom got her young black dude. The real issue is that too many black athletes, for some reason, appear captivated by proximity to whiteness. It is insane. It is absolutely insane. Odell Beckham Jr., Southbound said, didn't that viral video of the white women put the law down on how to lock in the black men? Yes. There was recently that video that was viral, as Southbound mentioned, in which these white women talked about their strategy of locking down black athletes before they just before they hit the big time, before they make the money. The Kardashians got it down. They don't need a tutorial. Just go to the Kardashians, ring their bell. I just don't get it. I think, okay, if you want gonna be fair about it, Kim had some, you know, cuteness to her, but what did, those, New Edition members, boys not was it boys? Not boys, gosh, the ones that saying never trust a big butt and a smile? It's it's like, come on. Or how this is horrible, but I'm gonna say what James Brown said. How about following James Brown? If you gotta have a Kardashian, hit it and quit. Hit it and quit it. I mean, come on. These people are poison. They are absolutely poison to black athletes. RNG says it starts in those, yeah, PIE colleges, the young black athletes, PWI is what you're saying? PEI, PWI. The young black athletes are introduced to white women during the recruitment process. They certainly are, and there have been documentaries. There's been depicted in film a lot. One comes to mind, He Got Game, um, where they go on campus. PWI, yeah, I kind of figured you were saying that on G. Where they go on campus, Ray Allen's character, and they go to visit these campuses, and what do they have? These young white girl students. They're offering everything under the sun, not under the sun, under their belt buckle to the black athlete. So it's true. They groomed them, but man, dudes, can't you control yourself a little bit, or at least, goodness grief. I'd rather get a, I'd rather get somebody from the projects than a Kardashian. Unbelievable. But Tristan Thompson, if he's 7 foot tall, and she made him 2 feet small. But that was his own doing. That's his own doing. There is look, I will never understand this whole Kardashian thing. And the one that with the white boy, in my opinion, and she got all the kids. What is her name? She's probably the most attractive in many ways, and that's not saying a lot. I never understood the lure of Chloe. Maybe it's just because of the family. And you kind of get originally in Ray J days, you kind of got Kim. Now, what do you see in her? He said, "We see Ray J's demise. That video is worth a lot of money right now about now, but Kim made him sign off on it." Yeah. I mean, even when she was with Crazy Kanye, you kinda could see, why a dude would chase after. Now, on 1,700 black men later, you said, "Chloe, you mean OJ's love child?" You know they denied that, right? They did deny it. I believe they denied it, but, folks deny a lot of stuff, don't they? I just can't do the Kardashians. I just can't. I see them coming, I would be on the other side of the street. Michelle, Madison is on, Instagram, and she says it's starting in middle school. My 11-year-old grandson plays soccer and basketball. They are starting on him. No surprise. No surprise, Michelle. Get them while they're young, as Jerry Lee Lewis said, "Raise them up right." He said, "Well, OJ denied killing Nicole too." Boy, oh boy. For Friday, we in rare form. My goodness, he certainly did deny that. Oh, boy. Well, while we're on the topic of sports, the San Antonio Spurs blew out the Oklahoma City Thunder last night, which is a great thing because now they go to game 7, but it's gonna be in OKC, and, it's just a matter of, did the officials cast a check, and who did they cast a check from? The Thunder themselves or from the commissioner? Because I tell you, this idea that this is a good for basketball is crazy. Adam Silver, the commissioner, who I think is probably the horrible, the worst commissioner in all the sports, continues to insult the intelligence of basketball fans by his defense of the flopping epidemic as the league drifts further away from the toughness and authenticity that once made it great. Nobody believes this garbage anymore. Nobody. Fans see it, players see it, Hall of Famers see it, commentators see it. Yet Adam Silver keeps talking as if people are overreacting while the NBA playoffs too often resemble a traveling Broadway production filled with fake contact, flying bodies, screaming fits, and superstar whistle hunting. And right at the center of it all is Shea Gilgeous Alexander, or SGA. And the nonstop foul baiting, dramatic head snaps, sudden collapses, manufactured contact. They've all become too impossible to ignore. The fact that there is now a viral flopping board game mocking SGA says everything about how bad this has gotten. Players don't get turned into memes like that unless fans are completely fed up, and they are fed up with this guy. I think the only there is no fans of his. He's probably the only superstar, and I use the term superstar very loosely, but it's probably the only star who is only liked in the city he plays. Usually, you know, Shaq and Kobe, Michael Jordan, of course, there are cheers for those players wherever they play. There is love for them wherever they play. Not this SGA character, because he's just that, a character. Even Tyrese Halliburton. Now, I thought it was very, very interesting what Tyrese Halliburton had to say. He's one of the league's biggest young stars, Tyrese Halliburton. Went to the NBA Finals last year, and he said he admitted that players know how to manipulate referees. Even Cade Cunningham, another young star with the Detroit Pistons, has called out people like SGA for flopping. Charles Barkley, as mentioned, has ripped the behavior repeatedly. Sports radio, podcast, television analysts, millions of fans, everybody has been blasting this product. But Adam Silver still wants everybody to pretend that it's fine, that it's not, that it's just the game. No, it's not. The NBA used to market warriors. Michael Jordan got clotheslined and kept playing. Kobe Bryant played through injuries that would sideline most players. Today, Allen Iverson, probably the toughest little man I've ever seen play. Isaiah Thomas, maybe the best point guard ever, played with a gash over his head and kept coming. Now they get a possession in the playoffs, SGA. It's all built around baiting referees into blowing whistles. This dude had 31 points the other night, SGA, and he only made 6 field goals. A field goal, just for those who may not know, is worth 2 points. So 6 times 2 is 12, right? Where did the other 19 points come from? The free throw line. This is not basketball. It's performance art. How can the league aggressively partner with sports books? Flood, and this is a big problem because this is, I think, is the core of the problem. The sports books. Everything is brought to you by BetMGM or this sports book, that sports book. And you see the athletes and the entertainers like Jamie Foxx and them pushing the sports book. They're doing the commercials for them. They have normalized the gambling culture, and there is always the spread line during the game. The broadcast shows the spread line. The NBA opened the gambling door wide open. Every timeout feels like it's sponsored by a betting app. Pre-game shows discuss prop bets alongside the basketball analysts. You have the live odds crawl across the screen during games. And so the NBA has financially intertwined itself with gambling culture more than at any point in its history. You remember earlier this year, a coach and some players were arrested by the FBI. Yeah, Isaiah Thomas was a gangster on the court. Isaiah's a cool dude. I get a chance to talk to him quite often. We text each other and stuff, and he's a really cool guy. Um, like Nicole says, yes, I see more DraftKings commercials than beer during the games. Right. It used to be dominated by beer commercials. The logos for the betting companies are all over the arenas. Exactly. Caesar's Sportsbook. The Garden, we sit, when we go to the Garden, we sit in Madison Club, and for a year, they had flirted with renaming it the Sportsbook Club, the Caesar's Sportsbook Club. They had all those season stuff. I'm like, "Oh gosh." But you remember the referee Tim Donaghy went to prison back in the early 2000s, gambling on games. You can't tell me that these officials today, the way they are calling these games, that they don't have a stake in it. And so now, instead of protecting the integrity of the game with tougher officiating standards and real anti-flopping enforcement, and they have an anti-flopping rule. Remember a few years ago, they championed this, and now it's like it doesn't exist. The NBA created this environment where suspicion naturally grows because the product looks manipulated. And when obvious flopping gets rewarded repeatedly on the biggest stage while the commissioner dismisses criticism, fans start asking uncomfortable questions. So Adam Silver can defend this all he wants, but fans know what they're watching. The legends who watch know what they're watching. The NBA has turned too much of his game into a whistle hunting circus. And every time the commissioner dismisses the outrage, he sounds less like a commissioner protecting basketball and more like somebody protecting a business model that depends on fans ignoring what's right in front of them. This flopping is absolutely insane. And there is no bigger flopper or flopping team than the OKC Thunder. And SGA is the proud leader of that circus. And just think, they are the reigning champs. No one outside of Oklahoma City celebrates them. When Golden State and Steph Curry and them were winning their championships, people outside of California, outside of Oakland and San Francisco celebrated Steph Curry, celebrated the Warriors and Steve Kerr, although Mark Jackson deserved a lot of the credit for the first championship. When the Bulls won, heck, you don't go we've seen in this playoffs, where the Knicks have played, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Cleveland, the Knicks fans take over those arenas, right? When the Bulls and Michael Jordan played, they'd come to New York, and of course, many of the fans would root for the Knicks, but every time whatever Jordan did, the fans roared and approved. They the Garden crowd cheered him on too. They wanted him to lose to the Knicks, but they didn't boo him. The Thunder, they play in Oklahoma City. I don't even know if they have fans in Tulsa. They can't go outside of Oklahoma City and claim fans. I don't see people, RG, maybe you see it, but I don't see people wearing SGA jerseys. You see Steph Curry jerseys everywhere. He said, "I still don't know an OKC fan." Dr. Nicole says, "I see many real NBA fans who love the game complain about how painful it is to watch OKC. It is extremely painful, and many hope that San Antonio can somehow pull off a Game 7 victory on Saturday." And I am one of them, although I am, of course, a big Knicks fan, and I believe the Knicks can and have beaten the Spurs, have what it takes to beat the Spurs. I think they can beat Oklahoma City as well. I think they'll have a tougher time, and that's in large part because we know that they're gonna Oklahoma City has the officials on their side. But I still want San Antonio to win simply because I don't wanna see Oklahoma City flopping around the finals. Now, there's a good chance Oklahoma City's gonna win. They're at home, and they'll have the home crowd as well as 3 officials on the court and a commissioner on their side. And it's hard to win on the road in the NBA under any circumstances, but when you have the officials on in your pocket and the NBA commissioner giving it his blessing, there's almost no chance for the Spurs to win. The Spurs really have to come out and play the perfect game. They have to come out and blow the doors off them immediately in order to win this game Saturday. But you get the feeling anyway that if the Spurs even seem like they're getting on a run, the officials are gonna step in. That's how bad it is. They're gonna step in. Spurs on a 6-0 run. They're on an 8-0 run, and whistle. Oh, offensive foul. Oh, this foul. SGA has been blown. Somebody walked past him. Gotta be a foul. That's how bad it is. Ugh. Folks, you gotta keep your hands off flight attendants. Apparently, that's a big problem. Folks are putting their hands on flight attendants, uh, once is enough, but they're saying that it's continuing to happen on a regular basis. Airline passengers have gotten so out of control that flight attendants now have to beg grown adults not to put their hands on them, according to a new report. Think about how absurd that is. Trained safety professionals responsible for evacuating planes during emergencies, handling medical crises at 30,000 feet, and protecting passengers during turbulence and disasters. Yet the travelers, many travelers, are treating them like they're part of the aircraft instead of human beings. The stories are embarrassing. Flight attendants say passengers poked them, grabbed them, pinched them. Imagine that. Tug on their clothing, touch their backs, and even smack or grope them just to ask for a drink or get attention. Oh, come on. One attendant told the Washington Post that barely a flight goes by without someone touching them. That behavior says a lot about what air travel has become in America. Too many people now move through airports angry, entitled, impatient, and completely disconnected from basic decency. Somewhere along the line, "Excuse me" got replaced by grabbing somebody's arm like they're a servant. What makes it worse is that flight attendants have already endured years of abuse. They dealt with the pandemic chaos, screaming passengers, political fights, threats, assaults, and nonstop disrespect, while airlines packed planes tighter and customers grew even more hostile. Studies have found that large numbers of flight attendants experience sexual harassment and unwanted touching during their careers. Now they're wearing buttons, patches, and making announcements asking passengers to simply keep their hands to themselves. Man, oh, man. Imagine your wife, your daughter, your sister, working one of these flights. See, I'd have to start taking flights with them. Get the employee discount, and somebody somebody would have their face rearranged. A plane, folks, is not your living room. It's not your home. And that flight attendant is not your servant, not your spouse, not your family member, they're not your babysitter, and they're certainly not your emotional punching bag. They are at work. They're trying to do one of the most difficult customer-facing jobs that is left in this terrible country. They're trapped in a metal tube with stressed out strangers for hours at a time. And here's the bottom line. If you can navigate the long lines at the airports, the mobile boarding passes, and everything else that goes along with air travel, then you are fully capable of saying, "Yes, ma'am. No, sir. Excuse me, please," without putting your hands on them. It's just incredible. RNG, what's going on? Why is it that people are touching these, flight attendants? Michelle says, "That's a doggone shame." I mean, man, I don't think RNG flies anywhere anymore. I think his flying days are over. Sort of like mine. My flying days are in semi-retirement. Ah, man, it's too much. It's too much. Um, some sad news this week, and suddenly almost, John McClain, the veteran music executive who helped transform Michael Jackson's estate into one of the most profitable celebrity enterprises in entertainment history, while shaping the careers of some of the biggest names in music, has died at the age of 71. John McClain, he died in Los Angeles, um, and according to an obituary, it was from complications following a fall. He was surrounded by friends and his nephew, Warner Wright. John McClain and John Branca were named by Michael Jackson, as co-executive of his will in 2002. And since his death in 2009, the estate has generated billions of dollars through music, publishing, licensing agreements, films, merchandise, Broadway productions, recordings, and global entertainment ventures. Of course, the new film Michael is on his way to grossing over $1 billion, making it the biggest biopic in history. John McCain was born in Los Angeles, I should say. He was raised by his aunt Helen, and he began piano lessons at age 3 and studied classical music composers. He was into Bach and Beethoven and all of those guys. He took an interest in that, and he was extremely successful in what he did before becoming one of the most powerful executives in entertainment. He worked as a musician and session guitarist with artists like Gladys Knight, Nina Ross, Lionel Richie, Shalimar, and his influence expanded dramatically in 1984 when he joined A&M Records as director of black music and connected with Janet Jackson. Uh, he connected Janet, I should say, with producers Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and of course that resulted in Control and Rhythm Nation. Um, but John McClain also, like I said, worked with Lionel Richie and so many others. And really, someone who had accomplished so much, really kept a low profile. That was the sad news that came out this week. Um, RNG says he has no idea about why these people are touching the flight attendants. Um, and that is something else, uh, folks. So if you're going to travel this weekend, don't touch the flight attendants. Don't touch the flight attendants. Say hi, say thank you, say please. Just don't touch the flight attendants. And whatever you do, don't date a Kardashian. That's a good rule of thumb for everybody. Do not date a Kardashian. That's, I don't think I have to tell a certain one of you that twice. Stay away. Like put that sign up that they come. Look, they on one side of the street, you go to the other side. Stay away, because even if you breathe some of their air, it might harm you somehow. It might warp your thinking, and you might start chasing, as RNG says, the mayonnaise. You got to stay away from them. Put some put some mustard on your sandwich. Forget the mayonnaise. Oh god. Wow. Well, folks, it's been a It's been a day already. Well, we appreciate you all joining. Let it be known. Whatever you do this weekend, do it safe and come back next week. We'll have some more good stuff for you. And hopefully we will report that there was no flopping. Yeah, right. It's gonna be flopping tomorrow night, big time flopping tomorrow night. But hopefully the San Antonio Spurs will somehow figure out a way. Maybe they should, check with the officials and say, "Hey, what does your check OKC pays you? What does that look like? Maybe we can add a few zeros to ours. May- Maybe we can convince you otherwise." It just looks that way, folks. And it may very well not be that. But I'll tell you what, the appearance means a lot. It means a lot. So have fun. We'll see you next week.
Let's go! Let's go, Flame. Hey! Public Enemy is coming through.